What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm back with another Trenbolone Confessions video. I have been going through it for the past 48 hours. Some of you who are on my Discord may have noticed that I was basically absent yesterday. This mint experience has really thrown me for a curve, and it has made me realize a lot of things about myself that I hadn't really come to grips with. And so that's what I'm gonna be confessing to you today. As you can see from this title, what I'm talking about is the fact that when it comes to steroid pharmacology, I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about at all. Somehow, over the course of the last 3.5 years, I have been, by my audience, kind of elevated to this status of being some kind of fucking steroid guru, when all I have actually succeeded in becoming is the thing that I absolutely despise the most. And that is a fucking purveyor of bro science. I started this channel, actually the reason I started this channel is because I got all on 4 fucking implants, and I just wanted to talk about my experience, and so I threw that out there and I got some views. And then I started on TRT and I made this video talking about all of the effects, the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, my entire experience on TRT, and a whole bunch of people watched it and they were like, man, we really like the way you talk, you're so transparent, you're so honest, you're just straight to the point, no bullshit. And that felt good. And so I started slowly but surely making more and more YouTube content. And then when I got into steroids, like in earnest, I decided that one of the things that irritated me when I was coming up in the game was that there was no good data out there. You know, like everything that I read, like nobody would be honest about their doses, nobody would be honest about the duration of their protocols, you know, what drugs did they run, how did they feel. All you could get back in the day 4 years or so ago was, you know, like Greg Doucette would do a video like, this is everything you need to know about Anavar, and you talk about Anavar. It's like, okay, but what about like Test and Deca and D-Ball? Like, you know, like what about a cycle? You know, and you could find stuff online where, you know, like a forum or a Reddit post, but I wanted more than that. And so I set out to I was gonna do the cycles anyway. And so I thought, fuck it, you know what I'll do is I'll just run cycles and I'll just report on my experiences. That's all I set out to do. And I said in the beginning that, you know, I'm just telling you what I did and what happened to me. I'm not saying that I'm smarter than anybody else. I'm not saying that I know any better than anybody else knows about anything. I'm not a coach. I'm not a fucking doctor. I'm just some idiot guinea pigging his body in his bedroom. And that level of transparency and honesty, for whatever reason, started gathering me this kind of a cult following, is what it really has become. And during that process, people started reaching out to me on Instagram and in the comments, and they would ask my opinion about things. And so this started out with me giving opinions and just going, you know, I don't know, I don't really like D-Ball for this reason, or I wouldn't run Sustanon because this is my thought about it, but you know, you do whatever you want. There's so many drugs and so many cocktails and so many ways to run things. And everything started out with me basically just trying to be transparent and honest about what my experience was and answering people's questions from my perspective. It was never about telling somebody the right or wrong way to do something, because what's right in my body could be totally wrong in yours. I figured out early on that apparently I'm a high aromatizer, and or I thought, because in the beginning, everybody was telling me, dude, you're on way too much Arimidex. You don't need that much Arimidex. Lo and behold, what I found out is I do know a couple of fucking things that apparently nobody in the industry knows, which is that if you're running exogenous testosterone in super physiological levels, you have super physiological estrogen. How could you not? That's the thing that's crazy that I don't understand. It's like, what makes you think that you can run 500 milligrams of testosterone and you don't have high estrogen if your estrogen is normal at normal physiological amounts of testosterone? There's some kind of disconnect in people's brains here. If your body is dialed in to convert a normal amount of testosterone to a normal amount of estrogen, and then you inject a super physiological amount of testosterone, how would you not get a super physiological amount of estrogen? But that's what people think. And one of the things that I have proven that leads to this ego that I've developed is that I lost count of the number of guys who swore up one side and down the other that they didn't need an aromatase inhibitor, went out and got their blood work checked, and sure enough, their E2 was 2 times the top end of the reference range. So I set out to do this channel to try to dispel the bro science, to try to dispel the myths in the community. And one of the things that was the real turning point for me was Trenbolone. Because I was terrified of Trenbolone because everybody in the community, all the big names, everyone you can think of said it was hepatotoxic, renal toxic, kidney toxic, cardiotoxic, neurotoxic, fucking toxic everywhere. You read all these reports about people telling what a dumpster fire Trenbolone is. Trenbolone destroyed their marriage. Trenbolone destroyed their life. Trenbolone cost them their job. And so it's like, my God, this is Satan in a bottle. And I ran it and found out that it's nowhere near as bad as people made it out to be. My body morphed in an unbelievable way the first time I ran Trenbolone. And then I went and got my blood work done, expecting my liver to be getting ready to fall out. And it was totally normal. And so I ran multiple tests with Trenbolone and to prove that it was not hepatotoxic. It is not hepatotoxic. And so when you have an experience like that, where the entire medical community, the entire bro science community is telling you hard and fast, this is the truth, and you prove them wrong, that causes you to have an inflated sense of ego. It causes you to think, I know what the fuck I'm talking about, and all of these other people don't. And so that sort of opened the gate for me to kind of start looking for other chinks in the armor. I started investigating more drugs, trying different things. The next thing that came along was prolactin. And that's what really is the driving force between me making this video, because just yesterday, although you guys just saw it released today, I made the video titled Everything You Need to Know About Estrogen and Prolactin on Cycle. And I lied my fucking ass off in that video. I didn't mean to. I didn't know I was lying. That's the problem. I have become, in this community, everything that I hate. I have become a purveyor of bro science. Because the reality is that I have done enough experiments with my body to know that you can get gyno and Deca-D symptoms from 19-nor drugs that are not caused by estrogen. I know this because I've tried to treat it by lowering my estrogen levels, and I have lowered them into the toilet and still had all of the symptoms that I had set out to try to treat. And when I brought my estrogen back to normal and started lowering my prolactin level with cabergoline, the symptoms resolved. And I have more than a year straight under my belt of proving this. I have run Tren for 1 year straight at 50 milligrams per milliliter, 50 milligrams per week, I'm sorry. And I have run it at 100 milligrams per week. And I have run that alongside testosterone, generally at 500 milligrams a week, with a set amount of Arimidex and a set amount of cabergoline, and never during the entire period of time experienced high symptoms of high estrogen, low estrogen, high prolactin, low prolactin. My D game and everything was dialed in perfectly for a year. So for me, the jury is not out. There is cabergoline works for 19-nor induced side effects. The problem became when I set out to define why. And in my video, I said that the reason that you have a high prolactin is because 19-nor drugs are progestogenic. They bind to the progesterone receptor with a very high affinity. And when they bind to the receptor, they turn it on and it creates prolactin. The problem with that statement is that it's bro science bullshit. It's not true at all. If we look up how is prolactin produced in men, we will see that the pituitary gland, a pea-sized gland located at the base of the brain, is the main producer of prolactin in men. So when I first read this, I was like, okay, well, it's the main producer. But maybe progesterone, when you agonize the progesterone receptor, you get prolactin. So if we look up progesterone receptor, and we go to the wiki, and we hit Control F on our PC, and we search the word prolactin, uh-oh, it's not there. It's not there. Nothing in the write-up about the progesterone receptor says anything at all about agonizing it causes the secretion of prolactin. So since I made that video last night, while it's been in the process of getting approved for you guys to see, I started really tearing myself apart psychologically. And I started looking at all of the claims that I've been making in this community and finding out the degree to which I have become, like I said, the thing I hate the most, I have become a purveyor of bullshit bro science. I didn't do it intentionally. It just kind of happened overnight. One of the things that happens when you produce the kind of content that I produce and you get this following, like I said, this kind of cult following of people, they're constantly asking you for your advice on shit. And you start out by giving advice, and then somehow along the way, it's like power corrupts, you know? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And slowly but surely, I started transitioning from a place of going, I don't know for sure, but this is what works for me, to going, absolutely, this is the way it should be done. If you do it any other way, you're a fucking idiot. And claiming that all of these people in the community were fucking idiots because they were doing something different than me. The fact of the matter is, I don't have a single fucking solitary clue what 19-Nor drugs do to cause depression, DECA-D, all of the fucking symptoms that you get from 19-Nor drugs. I have no idea how they're causing those symptoms. I just know that cabergoline resolves them. That's all I know. I have no idea. The why, the how, I don't know. And I'm not going to sit here any longer and pretend like I do. I am sick and tired of being this person that I have become, where I parrot or fill in the blanks with some maybes, some possiblies, and some I don't knows. Because this is exactly the thing that I have attacked Todd Lee and Kurt Havens for. They sit around and they go, well, you know, it could be this or it could be that or maybe this or maybe that. The other thing that I have taken to fucking claiming is things like Masteron is a SERM. Masteron is a selective estrogen receptor modulator. I can't prove it. There's nothing in the medical data that says that it is. I know historically that Masteron was produced to treat ER-positive breast cancers and that they were looking for something that would focus on the estrogen receptors in the breast. It seems in clinical practice to behave like a SERM. But I can't find a single piece of data that says that it is a SERM, that it definitively has SERM-like activity. All I can tell you is that when I take it, it seems to have SERM-like activity. But this is really fucking towing the line of bro science. Because the difference between bro science and science is that science is backed up by data which can be tested and approved and reapproved. And so until somebody does some tests with drostanolone and shows me chemically that this behaves as a selective estrogen receptor modulator, I can't keep pretending like I know some shit that I don't fucking know. The other big claim in the industry is that, or in the community, is that Trenbolone is an aromatase inhibitor. And this is one of the things that I think I was getting on to guys, Kurt Havens and Todd Lee, about, because again, no one fucking knows that. There's nothing in the medical literature that specifically claims that Trenbolone is an aromatase inhibitor. It just seems to act like one. And so some people are like, well, maybe it's a metabolite. We found all these metabolites, and this metabolite could have AI. Could, maybe, might, should. That shit's not science, guys. That is fucking conjecture. When you look at something and you go, I think it works this way because it seems to work this way, that is conjecture. And conjecture is open to be proven as being a fallacy of causation and correlation. So I have said, rather fallaciously it seems, that agonizing the progesterone receptor causes the secretion of prolactin, when it's entirely possible that the cause has something to do with the dopaminergic activity of 19-Nor drugs. Because cabergoline is a dopamine receptor agonist. I think it's the D3 agonist. So maybe it doesn't have fuck all, maybe prolactin is just like a side effect of a side effect. I don't know, because the other truth is that I don't have any blood work results that have ever come back with prolactin levels elevated outside the top of the normal end of reference range. Now, I have had symptoms, and I have had prolactin levels that were higher than when I didn't have symptoms. So again, we can't even know. For all we know, there could be some activity that's somewhat similar to mint and how it aromatizes. So testosterone aromatizes into 17-beta estradiol, which you can do an E2 sensitive test and you can prove, look, hey, I have high E2. If I go do another E2 sensitive test right now, the only thing it's going to show me is how much actual 17 beta estradiols in my system. It will not show me 7 alpha methyl estradiol. So maybe there's some kind of prolactin or something to do with prolactin that doesn't show up on a test, but is the causal factor of DECA-D, depression, all of the things, all of the negative side effects of 19-nor drugs. That could be the case. But while it could be, it might not be, and this is conjecture. So to make a factual claim that your gyno is caused by prolactin, I can't keep saying that. I can't keep saying that because that is likely a fallacy of causation and correlation. What I can tell you, the only thing I can tell you is that if you have what appears to be prolactin-induced gyno, because you know your estrogen is in the sweet spot, if you add cabergoline in certain amounts to your cycle, it will resolve the symptoms. Or at least it does in me. Because see, that's the thing that this mint cycle has me so fucked up about. Because my wife and I were sure. We were sure of anything we've ever been sure of, that my fucking estrogen was in the toilet. And Kowalski kept saying, dude, it can't be, it doesn't make any sense. I agreed with him that it didn't make sense, but I was so certain that I was right, that I was more willing to believe that I was some kind of one-off genetic mutant and allowed it to get even worse. I'm happy to report that thus far, I seem to have been convinced, I seem to have been proven to have been wrong. Because if I was right and my estrogen was in the toilet, then the administration of Arimidex should start lowering my fucking shit back into the toilet again and be causing symptoms. And instead, I have now taken 2.5 milligrams of Adex since getting my high E2 blood work, and my D game is on fire. Well, I've had sex twice in the last 12 hours, coming from a period of time where I could not have cared any about it at all. So my wife and I both completely totally missed the boat on what was going on with my symptoms, because apparently the mint is causing something that we couldn't predict, or the prolactin was masking this or that. There's so many fucking variables in this game that it makes it nearly impossible to say anything with any kind of certainty. And so all any of us are doing is guinea pigging our bodies. Every single time you do a steroid cycle, you are doing a science fair experiment with your own body. The only thing I can ever tell anybody is what has worked for me, and I'm not even 100% accurate on that. Because I might be saying this has worked for me, but be wrong about the why that it worked for me. Typically, I don't care about that. Like I want to understand the why, but in the here and now, I just need the problem fixed. And so there's a lot of things that I know definitively about the steroid game. And there's a lot of things that I don't. And you guys need to understand, I am not a fucking steroid guru. I am nobody that you should be coming to for advice. When you come to me for coaching, that's great. I appreciate that you want to support the channel. And admittedly, I know substantially more than most anyone in this fucking community. I do have a vastly huge amount of knowledge about bodybuilding pharmacology and the things that work and do not work. But I am not the end-all be-all of this fucking game. I do not understand all the pathways. I don't understand how everything works. And it's fucking making me batshit crazy right now. This mint experience has been incredibly humbling because it showed me, I thought my ability to read my own symptoms was infallible, and it has now cast doubt on every cycle I've ever done. It's making me wonder how many cycles, how long was my estrogen high? Was it high before, and it just so happened that I hadn't crashed my prolactin, so I couldn't tell? You know, are all the problems that I'm having actually related to dihydroboldenone? I mean, to dihydronandrolone? There's so many fucking variables in this situation that it's impossible to know how everything works. And it's impossible to know how one thing's gonna work in me and work in somebody else. I've got like 3 guys in my Discord right now who have crashed prolactin. Their prolactin's crashed, probably because of me. That's probably my fault. They probably crashed their prolactin because they watched one of my videos talking about how I use X amount of cabergoline with X amount of Tren, and to my credit, one guy doubled the fucking dose. So, but I don't know. I'm just saying, like, people are coming to me constantly for all this advice and expecting me to be able to answer all their fucking questions. Dude, I didn't take any fucking chemistry, tests. I'm not a doctor. I'm just some fucking asshole sitting in his office who's willing to guinea pig his body and then tell you the truth about what I really take and how it really feels. And so I've developed this cult following for being brutally honest and transparent. And I need to confess to you today, the brutal, honest, transparent fact is I do not know what the fuck I am talking about 100% of the time. Some of these things, the best I can do is go with the we thinks, it might be, it could be, it seems to be. Masteron seems to be a CERM. Trenbolone seems to be an AI. 19 NOR compounds seem to cause prolactin increases, or they seem to cause symptoms that are consistent with a high level of prolactin. Can you prove this on fucking test results? Maybe not. I've got guys who have come back with high prolactin levels. So maybe you can. Maybe I've just never tested it at the right time. Maybe. What I know for sure is that I do not have all of the fucking answers. And I have got to stop feeding my own ego and allowing myself to believe that I am some kind of fucking steroid god and run around telling everybody how fucking stupid they are and how they should do this way and that way. Dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I have no fucking clue. And so when you guys watch my videos, you need to remember that. Everybody's so quick this is why a lot of people don't want to make this content. They don't want this fucking responsibility. They don't want to be responsible for somebody hearing a video about me saying, man, I'm running Test, Deca, and fucking Tren, 19 NOR compounds everywhere, and a little Proviron over here, and some MK677 over there, and somebody goes out and copies it and fucks their shit all up. Do not copy anything that I'm doing. This is an experiment. That is all that it is. I am living a lifetime experiment. This is what I do. This is what I like to do. I like to experiment. I'm going to continue experimenting with my body, and I'm going to continue telling you what results that I got. I will tell you what I took. I will tell you how long I took it. I will tell you what the side effects were and how I was able to mitigate them. If I don't know the definitive empirical reason why, I'm not answering any of these questions anymore. I'm not going to tell you that Masteron is a CERM because I don't know. I'm not going to tell you that Trenbolone is a fucking AI because I don't know. I'm not going to tell you that your gyno is caused by prolactin because I don't know. I don't fucking know. I just know what works and what doesn't work, what causes problems and what fixes those problems, and that is the only information that you are going to get from me from now on, if I even continue making this content. Because I'm telling you, man, I've been rocked to the fucking core about how wrong I was. And I just can't cope with sitting here continuing to pretend that I know things when obviously I don't. So there you have it. I just want to come on here and be transparent about the video. I think that I mentioned earlier, I've shot this twice now. Take everything, any of my past content where you see me making definitive claims about progesterone receptors, anything that is not backed up with medical science is fucking bro science. It is conjecture. It is my best guess at understanding how things work, and I have condensed that into a video in the hopes of being able to help somebody else. And maybe the best thing that I could do to help the rest of the community is just shut the fuck up. Honestly, maybe it's time for me to just shut the fuck up. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.